How's it going, everybody? This is the Too Much Podcast, and we are back for our third episode of this MLB offseason. This is our fifth technical video being posted. We're going to try a new format here. We're going to be posting the MLB and the Red Sox separate because, I don't want to overwhelm people. I don't want to put too much content out there at one time. I like to kind of space it out. And we've been seeing some pretty awesome feedback on the TikTok, so I appreciate anybody that's came over from there. But we're pretty excited here to get started, and we got some good stuff planned today. But most importantly, we need to update everyone that is not aware on what has happened in the offseason since our last couple videos. We didn't do this in the last video because there wasn't too much great stuff. I mean, Justin Verlander got signed, and the last relevant thing Justin Verlander has had is the fact that he's dating Kate Upton. So I didn't really care that he got signed. But let's jump into the offseason so far in the last couple weeks here, and we'll let Ethan start it off with one of the biggest transactions of this offseason.
So, Roki Sasaki finally decided on his team, if you want to say finally, because he probably has known all along. He chose the Dodgers, and they now have Blake Snell, Yamamoto, Roki Sasaki, Tyler Glasnow, and Shohei Ohtani. Probably the best rotation of all time. I don't know how to argue with that, but I would have that as the best in the league by far, probably up there with the Phillies. And I don't know who their ace is because they have 5 of them.
The craziest thing about that is that if people talked about the Dodgers' weak point about, I don't know, a week ago, they would have said, hey, their bullpen's still bad. Who's really coming in, whatnot. But that's what I'm going to follow up with. They now have signed 2 great relieving options, both that we wanted to see on the Red Sox, in Tanner Scott and Kirby Yates. Tanner Scott obviously got a 4-year deal, $72 million, I believe. Pretty lucrative deal for a relief pitcher, especially one that's not going to be closing every day, they already said. But then you top it off with Kirby Yates. It's really just like stomping in our face, the entire MLB's face. And I'm actually so annoyed because when I see MLB fans comment, or Dodgers fans rather, you guys are just upset that your team's not as good as ours. So we're not ruining the game at all. We're doing it right. It's like, no, you're not. You're deferring all the money. It just isn't the right way to do it. And I don't really know where to get started on that take. With that controversy of, are the Dodgers ruining baseball? I would say absolutely.
Signing one of them would have been okay, but signing both of them is just like, it's unnecessary and kind of unfair. Yeah, I don't know why Kirby Yates chose to take a 1-year deal. I think it's a 1-year deal. It's not official. I thought I saw that somewhere, but he probably could have got maybe a 2-year deal. He is old, but it just seems like now everybody wants to go to the Dodgers to ring chase.
And it is a beautiful area to live in if you have money. I mean, I wouldn't live in California if my house was free, but I mean, I get why players want to play there. It's the friggin' Dodgers. Like, it's obviously a historical team. It's the best team in baseball every year, pretty much. But like championship, like just chasing like that, I'm just not about it. I never have really been, especially in baseball, because it's just kind of cheesy. I get why players go there. I get why they are able to do it. But this all comes down to everything. All the owners in the MLB could capitalize and do the same exact thing if they wanted to. The Dodgers just choose to. They know they can. They know they're not going to get punished. They're going to get slapped on the wrist. They're going to get charged more money. Getting taxed to a billionaire isn't going to hurt their feelings. So it just needs a solution. I don't know what the correct thing is to do, but I would like to see some change.
I think it just came out today how many top 100 prospects each team has, and the Dodgers have like 6, which is like second most, tied for the second most. So considering how good they are and they have a farm system too, it's just kind of crazy.
Yeah. It goes back to that take you said a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago at this point, where you said, losing prospects or spending money, which one would you rather do? You'd rather spend money. Like, if you spend the money, your team is just going to A, be set up for longer. You're not getting rid of anything. Trading is much more, you know, expensive, I guess you could say, at your team, especially in baseball. It's just frustrating. Like, I don't even think they should have been allowed to re-sign any of these or sign any of these players. I would have rather seen them without Roki, Tanner, Yates, and Teoscar because they still would be a great team without them. Those four guys they just signed could be a good team by themselves.
They also have like 10 pitchers that could be starting on any other team that won't be in the rotation. Like Tony Goslin, Dustin May, and then their younger guys like Gavin Stone, Bobby Miller. It's just insane the depth that they have, and I think Clayton Kershaw is going back at some point for a 1 year deal like he does every season. So they might do a 6 man. Shohei pitching is kind of weird how they schedule him, but Kershaw is going to just go back there as long as he can.
I've spoke to your brother about this. Podcast isn't fully aware of this person, but do you think that the Dodgers making Shohei into a reliever of some sort would be stupid if he can go out there and hit 50 home runs and steal 50 bases every year?
Probably not stupid, but it might be weird with him going out to the bullpen to warm up and everything, and then having to come back in and hit. And starting pitchers are just more valuable. So if he can keep doing that, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being a reliever. But for now, just keep sending him back out there to throw 7 shot every 5 days.
Yeah. Yeah. And strike out 12. I think the K thing is kind of crazy how he can strike out like the entire lineup in a game and then go up there and hit a nuke, a triple, steal a base, hit a single, walk. Like, I don't think people realize how he could play 3 seasons of baseball, pitching and hitting, and go down as a better player than somebody who played for like 12 years.
It's not even a bad take to say he's already the best player of all time because of how good he's been at his peak, which who knows if this is even his peak. He just keeps getting better.
Yeah, I would I would certainly have him as my number one of all time because of what I've seen. I truthfully feel like every day he does something that is like, wow. There's no such thing as glazing Shohei Otani. He is genuinely the best athlete I've ever seen on a baseball field.
I think he could go down as the best player to ever play any sport. He's literally pitching and hitting at the top of skill. Like he might be the best hitter in baseball if you want to say it's Aaron Judge, but that's pretty close. And then he's gone out there and pitched and been a top 10 Cy Young candidate. So it's just ridiculous that he's doing both. And then he's on a Dodgers team that could win without him probably.
Exactly. And that's the stupid thing, being able to win without them. And I hope I will be rooting against them for sure. I'll be hate watching this shit out of all of the Asian pitchers they have. Even though I want to root for all of them, I love each everyone that comes over from a foreign league to try to pursue their dream of playing here is awesome. It's just disappointing to see the players I like end in a uniform I can't stand. I really think I hate the Dodgers more than any AL East team. Pretty much all of them combined.
It's really annoying because I don't really hate any of the players. I just hate how good they are.
Yeah,
And
I
it
agree with
didn't
that.
have to be like that.
I do agree with that.
And Shohei, I mean, nobody hates Shohei. It's hard. Why would you ever hate Shohei? He's
Yeah,
just so nice, and he just goes out there and he's the best.
yeah. He doesn't. I mean, besides his gambling scandal that we'll probably never know the truth to, he's been pretty clean. Well, a couple more things that we'll touch on real fast, because there were a lot of transactions, honestly, and some pretty much bigger ones. Jurickson Profar to the Braves, a lot of outfield depth for the Braves, 3 years, 42 million. Anthony Santander, 92 and a half, 5 years. I think Ethan said that was what 68 of it's deferred. You said
About that, yeah.
that's kind of crazy to think about. Uh, Jeff Hoffman also went to the Blue Jays. So Santander and Hoffman there, 33 for 3 years. I thought that was a cheaper deal, but I heard about some injury stuff, so I guess I'm not surprised. And then we had AJ Minter go to the Mets. Pretty much all the ones I think that are important to note right now. There's obviously been some other transactions here and there, but pretty eventful stuff. What do you think of some of those transactions?
I think it's good for the Blue Jays to finally get somebody. They've been linked to every player basically that's signed somewhere else. And it sounds like they're not done, so maybe they could make a run if they keep signing. Other than that, it's kind of just like good pieces that teams picked up. The Mets needed some bullpen help, and the Profar one was kind of surprising. I thought he was going to go back to the Padres.
It is weird for him to go there. Like I'm putting it together. You know, you have the kid that you traded for, blank on his name. I think Kellenic. He'll play left. You have probably one of the best players on the planet when he comes back in right. I mean, I guess you have a good piece. I don't think he'll ever do what he did last year again. It's probably gonna decline in Profar, but definitely a pretty good acquisition. I mean, I think any team would be happy to throw him in there as a backup. It seems like that's what he's probably. I mean, I guess I don't really know. You can't sit Harris,
Yeah.
right?
No, Harris ended the season so good, and I wouldn't be surprised if he like actually keeps that up. I'm seeing projections with him being one of the best players on their team, so I think he could be batting maybe leadoff if they move Acuna down one or two,
Yeah,
or he could just be the best nine hitter in the league. Profar should be out there every day unless he really plays bad.
yeah. I mean, having Harris and then Acuna, if they did that, that'd be pretty fast duo to face there, 1-2, and then lefty righty especially. Not a fun thing to deal with.
I'm not sure if Acuna is going to be healthy opening day or not. I think I saw he'll be healthy for spring training, but they might hold off a couple weeks. Same with Strider.
Probably the smart thing to do. I mean, they have the depth to deal with it. First 2 weeks don't mean anything, anyways, unless you win every game, I guess.
And they can still win without them.
Yeah. Yep. Crazy. They're a pretty good team. I mean, I don't think they're going to be bad. I don't think they're going to be elite. You know, I thought I was so high on them, and then I saw them play bad in the playoffs. I was just kind of like disappointed, but they definitely have every bit of being one of the best teams in the league. Like they could totally go out there and be amazing.
That division's pretty good now. That whole National League is pretty good.
We will talk about the NL East here in a bit. We're doing a newer fun segment here about GM for the day, I guess you could call it. But we're gonna jump into two of our more fun things. One of these videos we got posted. You know, we're not a big podcast by any means, but we had quite a bit of interaction with this one, and the first one kind of flopped, but I think it was just due to the bad timing of the TikTok going down and whatnot. But it is Would You Rather, and just want to preface this. I'm gonna make it clear when I post on TikTok. Would you rather talking about the career, talking about where we predict them to finish, talking about all-time basis. You're considering their peak, you're considering their lows, but it's important to note, like if you're building a roster tomorrow, who do you want on your team for a long period of time is basically the gist of this. I'll start. Mine is going to be for Ethan. Would you rather Fernando Tatis Jr. edition? Would you rather Fernando Tatis or Xander Bogaerts?
Tatis. Bogarts is my favorite player ever, but Tatis at his best and probably at the end of his career will be a better player.
And I like to keep this position related, kind of. Since he did play the infield, I can kind of deal with some infielders in here. But yeah. Would you rather, this is my favorite one, Fernando Tatis or Kyle Tucker?
That one's really hard, and Kyle Tucker is super underrated. And they both run, so that's not something you can hold against Tucker. Wow, that's really hard.
Because they're both pretty much the same when it comes to like how good they are ranked.
Tatis just had such good years, but so is Tucker. I'm taking Tatis.
Okay.
Close.
Astros fans, probably really upset about the trade. Cubs fans, you'll have a good player for a year. Would you rather, another good one, Fernando Tatis or Jarren Duran?
Duran's probably my favorite player now on the Red Sox. he just doesn't have the power that Tatis has. And Tatis literally won a platinum glove 2 years ago. He definitely declined last season, but I'm taking Tatis.
I've heard about the me and you discussed a perfect fill-in for our team would be acquiring Fernando Tatis.
He would fix every problem that the Red Sox have,
Yep.
but it's a dream that we probably shouldn't even think about.
I guess we could say that with like pretty much any good righty that can run.
Pretty much.
Fernando Tatis or Julio Rodriguez.
These are like very similar players. Julio runs probably more than Tatis. He had a bad season last year, Julio did, but finished really strong. And he's so young. Oh, it's all about projecting where Julio will finish. I'll take Tatis over Julio.
Yeah, I think if you're taking Tatis over King Tuck, then you probably have to stay consistent there. I would agree. This one I think is pretty easy, but I want to see where you stand because it's a lot of predictions. Fernando Tatis or Roman Anthony.
I want to say Roman so bad.
the, the people are
Uh, I'll say Tatis, but I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Roman Anthony is better.
Fernando Tatis or Ellie De La Cruz.
Ellie definitely has gotten better than I ever thought he would be. I'm still taking Tatis. Ellie's strikeouts are a concern to me. He's gotten better at fielding. He still makes a lot of errors. I think he should go do what Tatis is doing right now and go play the outfield. I think
Oh
he'd be nasty out there. He's so fast and has a cannon. Uh, I'm still taking Tatis. I don't care if Julio or not Julio, if Ellie steals 70 bases. It's just he doesn't have that same power potential that Tatis had when he hit 40 plus.
yeah, I would agree that Tatis probably clears him, but that is a tough one. I feel like because like I don't know, Ellie is. I want to Google his age, but Ellie's probably what 20 years, 22 years old.
Around there. Maybe is he that young?
I thought he maybe a little older, but I thought he's
He was born 2002. Yeah,
23.
2000. He's yeah.
Which he started younger, but Tatis is probably not the same age, but not that old. Probably
Yeah, he's only
26.
26.
So I guess their stats will probably line up pretty similar. I mean, Ellie could lead the league. I think Ellie. This is my hot take. I think Ellie De La Cruz will finish all time with the most steals ever.
That would be pretty insane if he passed Ricky. And just Ricky, it's almost like he was played for so long that it's going to be nearly impossible. But he'll probably
His pace
get up
will.
there.
Yeah, his pace is pretty good, and his age is pretty good. I know Ricky did forever, but there's my hot take. Ellie De La Cruz will be the all-time steal leader.
So I took Tatis over everybody.
No, I got one more.
Oh,
One more that I think is going to be controversial, but like I don't. I think he'll still lean. I don't know. I guess we'll see. A weird one here. Fernando Tatis or Tony Gwynn. Rest in peace, Tony Gwynn.
Tony Gwynn, the average king. I haven't looked at Tony Gwynn's stats like ever. I just know he got on base. Insane. But Tatis, the 5-2 player. I'll take Tatis.
Padre over a Padre there. So Tatis was 7 for 7.
After watching Tatis in the playoffs this year, it's some recency bias, but he was the best player in the playoffs.
He definitely has like absurd potential. As long as he can like stay out of being in trouble and whatnot, I mean, he could be really good. And
And
I
he's
think
had some down years.
yeah, exactly. And I think he bounced back like tremendously because I criticized the shit out of him in what 20 the year before he sat out one. Like, I mean, it's kind of crazy. He missed all of 2022.
Since he came back, he hasn't been the same guy. So if he doesn't get back to the player he was before the suspension, then all these takes could be wrong. He's still a very solid player, but I think there's more there that he can tap back into.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, well that's my would you rather for this week. We're going to do one of these every single week. Every single time. We'll do all time guys eventually where it's only all time guys.
Okay, mine for this week is Francisco Lindor.
A player that I don't really love anymore.
That's why these should be pretty good. First off, Francisco Lindor or Derek Jeter.
Jeter. I think Jeter's overrated controversy is accurate to some realm, but the man has some really tough things to reach, I think, for Lindor. I think Lindor is a better defender, though.
Francisco Lindor or Ellie De La Cruz.
Oh, well, here's my hot take. I'll mention it again. I think Ellie De La Cruz will finish all time with the most steals ever. But I think I'm going to lean Lindor. Uh, although Lindor has just disappointed me so many times, I'll go Lindor, though.
Okay. Francisco Lindor or Cal Ripken Jr.
Well, that's a player that if I looked at their stats, that's one I don't really know off the top of my head. I, I think I'm gonna have to go with Cal Ripken, just due to like how long he was done for or was done for. Lindor to me doesn't have that much more in the tank.
Okay. Francisco Lindor or Bobby Witt Jr.
That's a good one. I'm going Bobby Witt. Bobby Witt to me is one of the most versatile players that I've ever seen. I think he's just getting started as well. I think that seeing a shortstop hit to his pedigree is impressive. And I am thinking that he is here and he's going to get to here. I think Lindor has already been there once and he's not going to it anymore.
The season that Witt put up, he might already be better than Lindor's best season ever.
Yeah,
I'd have to look at the numbers, but that might be true.
I love Bobby Witt.
Francisco Lindor or Gunnar Henderson?
Wow. Ugh. If you had to ask me two shortstops I really don't love, that I think are like just extremely overrated at times, I would say these two guys. I think I'm going to go Lindor. I don't know about Gunnar. I don't trust Gunnar Henderson yet. I need more from him, but I'm going to lean Lindy.
Another old timer, Francisco Lindor or Nomar Garciaparra?
Oh, no more cheated. So I'm going to go with Lindor. I don't even really like Nomar as a Red Sox fan. I think he's kind of annoying, but I'm going to go with Lindor. I would like to see a statistical comparison between the two, but I'll go Lindor.
And the last one, Francisco Lindor or Corey Seager?
I'm going Corey Seager. I think Corey Seager is one of the most reliable players that I've seen. When he's bad, he's not bad. You know, I've been so impressed by him because when he was with the Dodgers, I thought he was just going to be like an overpaid piece of trash, and he really turned into a superstar. So I think Corey Seager again, he needs to be on that list of top shortstops because he's one of the best bats in the league, hands down.
Two-time World Series MVP. Not many of those.
Yeah, and I feel like Lindor's stats in the postseason are pretty solid, but Seagy too easy. He's got pretty good stats in the postseason, I'd say.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Actually,
That was some controversy in there, but not too bad.
yeah, there's some really good ones in there. Cal Ripken is a strange one because like, isn't he like? Didn't he play like the most games in a row?
Yep.
I don't like know anything about Cal Ripken's stats, but I'm looking. I think it's pretty clear cut. Cal Ripken. He never had a season of 100 strikeouts. His first 2 years in the league, he struck out 95, 97 times. He never got higher than that. He had a couple years of like 40 Ks, which is kind of crazy. 210 hits in a year, 211 hits.
They're actually pretty similar.
Who, Lindor and Ripken?
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what people think about that one.
I know that Gunnar Henderson is going to get people going because people think he's like the next coming of Jesus for some reason.
The Gunner Bobby Witt debate is interesting. I think it's Bobby, but Orioles fans would not agree.
Yeah, I think Bobby Witt's like easily one of the best players in the league, especially for his price. Good contract.
That was a good deal.
Yeah. Okay, so our next segment, we're going to be discussing the 4 most underrated teams going to next year. We're each going to say one. Neither of us have given each other context onto these teams. We just made sure we didn't overlap. We just did this before we started. But I will start off with the Toronto Blue Jays, and I'm going to touch on that. Toronto Blue Jays, I think, are one of the most underrated teams in baseball. As a Red Sox fan, I'm going to say this because, like Ethan has said in the past, they're pretty much in the race for everybody. They're always trying to get people. I just am a little confused with their lack of seriousness with Vladdy. I don't know why there's not like just been a hard, firm contract thrown at him that's much more lucrative. But I think the Toronto Blue Jays did enough. I think they have a really solid pitching staff. I think their bullpen is shaky. I think their manager is seriously a moron. So I think that actually could be a something that they need to consider to get rid of. But I do think they have enough offense in the tank, especially if they were to acquire one of like Bregman or Pete Alonso. That would definitely, I think, set them into that realm of like, this is a good baseball team. AL East, I don't think is up for grabs, but I do think that between all 5 teams, there really isn't a dog to lead the way right now. I don't think the Yankees are a clear-cut favorite at all, and I think the Red Sox definitely are a dark horse, but Blue Jays to me are a team to be worried about.
With the moves that the Blue Jays are making, they could easily go out and pay more guys and be in the contention for the division. I still think they're 4 or 5 seed in the AL East, but a Bregman or Alonso move could put them right at the top.
Yeah. And I'm kind of counting on that. I guess I'm not really counting on it as a Red Sox fan, but I would think they would do something like that. But I do expect like Bo Bichette and to kind of retaliate a little bit. I mean, that was pretty bad last year.
My underrated team is the Seattle Mariners. I think they have probably the second best rotation in baseball now behind the Dodgers. And they've shown it the last couple of years. They can pitch pretty much themselves into the playoffs. Not last year, but the year before. Their offense is awful. I'm very disappointed that they've signed nobody. I expect Julio to bounce back to how he was a couple years ago. And they have some other pieces. Randy, he should have a better season. Kyle Raleigh's become one of the best catchers in baseball. Their bullpen, not the best, not the worst. Munoz is pretty disgusting back there. Overall, I just think they're going to pitch themselves right into a playoff spot and potentially win that division.
I think they're definitely a team to fear because whenever you play them on a 3-game stretch or a 4-game stretch, you're getting stuck facing pitchers you don't want to face. I think if they do lose one of those guys and have to count on somebody that isn't expected to be good, that could be an issue. But I do expect some things to happen in the offseason still for them. Maybe a flyer on somebody that we're not expecting. And yeah, I think they're a good team.
They signed Pete Alonso. That solves a lot of their problems.
Yeah,
They need the first baseman.
should have taken the Red Sox trade. I'm not saying it was good or bad of us or them, but they definitely should have taken that trade because it was a very reasonable offer.
Do you want me to say one more?
I'll go with mine next year. Another underrated team in the MLB this year, I think, is going to be the Nationals. I think the Nationals pitching staff could truthfully match up with anybody's, especially if it stays on. Mackenzie Gore has truthfully shown that he could be one of the best in baseball. Trevor Williams is really solid. Got hurt last year. I mean, they had like 70 wins, a little more than that maybe. They lost some bullpen guys, so they need that. But they've added some veteran pieces. They have a bunch of young players that could count on. I think Dylan Cruz will be a really good starter. I think James Wood could hit 40 plus home runs. I think that they have a bunch of speed, like a ton of it. Abrams, Jacob Young, Luis Garcia, Dylan Cruz. I mean, even James Wood is not no slow slouch for a power hitter. I would expect the Nationals to be a team that at the deadline they're really considering buying, especially if they think now is their time. I know the NL is a really loaded thing, but it's all about making the postseason, I feel like, nowadays. So I would try to buy if I was them.
I think if the Nationals were in the NL Central, they could win that division. They have some exciting young players, and the rotation's good enough to win enough games to maybe be in the playoff hunt come the deadline. It's just tough. That division's so good. But a really exciting future for them, and maybe next season they'll spend even more.
Yeah, and it just sucks that they're in that kind of situation where their division's loaded. And I don't necessarily think that they're like a World Series contender, but I do think they're not a team you circle on the calendar and go, oh, we're playing the Nats, we're going to win. It's more or less like, okay, we need to actually play good baseball or we could see ourselves getting swept.
I guess I'll go into a team in that same division. It's hard to say that they're underrated because lots of people think they can win that division, but the Atlanta Braves, kind of a disappointing season last year. They lost arguably their two best players, Strider and Acuna, to injuries pretty early into the season. And there's definitely injury concerns in that rotation. Sale, Strider still, and Lopez dealt with some injuries. But if they all stay healthy, that's another one of the best of it or rotations in baseball. And their lineup could easily be the best lineup in baseball too. If Olsen has a bounce back season, Albies stays healthy, Acuna becomes even remotely what he was 2 seasons ago. And their outfield's pretty loaded too. So it's going to take some bounce backs, but I think they are going to win that division. Sean Murphy can't be as bad as he was last season. That was pretty awful. And the Phillies, Braves, Mets, it's really going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, I agree that there's definitely a feared top three there. And having a Nats in there too, like just again, not free wins. They do have the Marlins that they're all going to pounce all over, I think. But yeah, I mean, they don't really have a bad position. Like Orlando Arcia, pretty mediocre, I think. Shortstop, definitely not great at all. Catcher, I think, is still has very much high level catching potential. But yeah, they just don't have a bad position on the field. They definitely should be a good team.
It's going to be interesting with Acuna what he looks like after two pretty serious injuries in his career early on.
Yeah, I know.
Is he going to be stealing 60 bases again? Hard to know that one.
That contract could start to look like maybe it was a reasonable deal because of the injuries, even though it is a crazy, crazy low offer.
Yeah, Churrio's almost making more than him, and he got signed before he even debuted.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel bad for Ronald McDonald because he'd be making a lot, but he is definitely an injury risk, I think.
I wonder when his contract's up. He signed 8 years, 100 million, which is insane.
Yeah.
Looks like it's through 2028. So he'll hit free agency at 31. He'll get a solid deal, you'd assume, if he keeps playing well.
Yeah.
He'll probably get like 200 million, maybe more. So 300 million for his career. I mean,
No,
he was
it's
probably a $500 million player, but can't be mad at 300 mil.
no, I agree totally, yeah. So we're gonna do a funner segment. Yes, I said funner. Um, we're doing a lineup draft. We're doing this blind. Like we genuinely have no clue where we're going. We're not gonna no cheating, no googling lists. This is completely off the top of our heads. Um, we're gonna draft 1 through 9, a true designated hitter. Um, we're gonna say Shohei's a pitcher, so he can't draft him as DH. Fair?
Oh man, yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
Well, who gets first pick? How are we deciding that?
We will ask Siri right now, and we're gonna flip a coin. Oh, I'm sorry that my camera just fuzzed up like that. I'm gonna be getting a new camera, just so everyone's aware. But yeah, let's do a Siri for who gets the first pick. I'll let you call heads or tails.
Tails.
How do I even use Siri? Hey Siri, heads or tails? She says tails.
I get the first pick.
First pick goes to Ethan. Like I said, we're drafting a full lineup and a DH. No pitchers.
Do I want to go outfield? Because there's a lot of options out there. Less options in the infield.
One thing I'll tell you real quick is that this doesn't necessarily have to be in the TikToks, but put your player in the spot you want them in. So you don't have to draft your leadoff hitter, your second hitter. You can put them at 9 if you want right away, and say what position they're gonna play for you, and yeah.
Position and lineup spot, or just position?
Position and lineup spot, yeah.
Okay. Ooh.
So like first pick, I'm taking Aaron Judge. He's playing right field, batting 3.
With my first pick, I will take Aaron Judge. Playing right field, batting second.
So me and Ethan did one of these previously, and neither of us drafted Judge, so I expected Judge to not get taken. With my first pick, I'm gonna take. Oh, are you okay with Mookie Betts being placed at any position that he's played, like at a high level?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna put Mookie in right field, and he's gonna bat in my 1 hole. Did you say
we're doing
Judge
Snake?
Right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Snake.
Okay.
I want a Judge. I'll send you a trade. Mookie for Judge.
No deal.
Both these guys have been stressed out in the postseason as of late.
Mookie was a little bit better than Judge, I think, this year.
Yeah, I would say so, yeah. Considering Judge is like the highest whiff rate of all time, or whatever that stat was.
Bad. So you get another one?
Oh, Snake. You're right. Shit, you're right. Okay. My 2 hole. Nope. This is good. Since I can edit this, I'm gonna. Okay, I have a weird spot for this player. This might be really ignorant to put him here, but I'm gonna put Bobby Witt in my 5 hole, and he's gonna play shortstop for me.
That was going to be my next pick. So now I'll go away from shortstop for now. Ooh. I want some speed for the 1 hole. This is tough.
I think it's not crazy
to say outfield again.
To say the player for the Red Sox.
All right, I'll go batting 4th, playing left field with my second pick, Juan Soto.
Juan and Judge reunion.
Kind of messed up their batting order, so I had to put him in the 4 hole. And I'm just gonna put Judge in left or Soto in left field, even though he plays right sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 2 third basemen I'd be fine with.
Nolan Arenado and David Wright.
No, I don't want Nolan Arenado on my team. Do I go all outfielders? This is crazy. Why is it like all outfielders are the best players? No, I don't. There's so many options out there. Oh, I guess I'll take a second baseman with my 3rd pick. I'll take Ketel Marte, and I'll have him batting 7th. figure that out later.
Kettle, second base, batting 7. Okay. With my third pick, I'm going to be taking future Red Sox Hall of Famer Vladdy Guerrero, playing first base. With my second pick, Bryce Harper is a first baseman. Is he firm at first base?
He plays first base basically always now.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say he's a first baseman because he would be coming on my roster here. But oh god. Okay, with my fourth pick, batting second, playing third base, Red Sox Hall of Famer Rafael Devers.
All right. Back to me.
3 Red Sox Hall of Famers maybe on my team. Even though Mookie's not going to get it, maybe he'll come back at the end of his career and he'll be a Hall of Famer.
I think I need a leadoff hitter. And I'm going to go to center field with my fourth pick. A little out of position, but he can definitely play there. Fernando Tatis Jr.
I'm fine with that.
I have 1, 2, 4, 7. Okay.
Worst case scenario, you could. I know this would never really happen, but you could have Judge play center and Fernando play right if somebody wants to legit check your lineup.
For Judge to play center all last year.
Yeah. Even though your fielding would be considerably worse with Judge in center.
Judge. He's out there to hit homers.
Pretty much.
I'll take a catcher with my fifth pick. I'll take Contreras, the Brewers Contreras, and have him batting 9th.
Contreras, 9th catcher. Okay. Playing left field for me, Ronald Acuna. I'm going to have him batting 7. We okay with that? Acuna at the 7 hole is kind of wild, but going to be optimistic with his injury. And then oh wait, I think this counts. Like this should be a DH because I'm gonna go with him. You can say no if you'd like, but I'm taking Yordi.
Yeah, that's fine. Unfortunately,
is he a DH? Are we okay with that? Because if not, I'll put Mookie in center. I'll put Yordi in left, and I'll put Acuna in right.
I mean, he played 94 games at DH last year, only 53 and left.
Okay, so yeah, DH. Yordi's batting 4 for me. DHing. I was actually wondering who my DH was going to be, and I'm glad I filled that void because I was kind of concerned there for a minute. I had to put the Enye down on Acuna. You know the Enye, little squiggle above his N.
Yep, I know what that is. All right, so this is my 6th pick, 5th pick, 6th pick.
6th, yep. You have 3, 5, 6, 8 left.
With my 6th pick, batting 3rd, playing first base, Bryce Harper.
I like that. I really wanted Brycey.
Unfortunately, my lineup is righty, lefty, lefty. That'll get fixed eventually.
I'm sure the coach would make an adjustment.
Yeah.
You have 5, 6, 8.
Okay. Batting 5th with my 7th pick, playing third base, Jose Ramirez.
People are going to be confused by your last video.
I was going to let the third base decide itself.
Yeah, that's
if it came to
that. My catcher is between two, I think. Both twitchies. But I think I'm going to just kind of wait on that one. Second baseman, I know where I'm going, I think. Center field. Is there a disgusting outfielder that I'm just completely blanking on?
I mean, there is one.
I just feel like I have to go with like I'm gonna go just kind of lock these up here. I have two in a row, right?
Yep.
I'm gonna go with Jose Altuve playing second. He's gonna bat 8 for me.
Okay.
Are we okay with Kyle Tucker playing center field?
That's fine.
It's either Tucker or Duran. You know what? I'm going Jarren Duran in center field, and he's gonna bat 9.
Okay. So I have my 6 and 8 holes left, I believe.
Yep.
And shortstop and DH. Good shortstops left out there. Ooh, it's tough shortstop decision here.
Yeah.
Do I want to go young or older? Batting 7th with my 8th pick. Nope, batting 6th with my 8th pick. Corey Seager.
Okay.
DH. I really want Ozuna at DH. It's Ozuna or Schwarber. How many lefties do I have? Decent amount of lefties. I have some righties in there too.
There might be a couple other options out there.
It's Masataka.
I'm gonna Google because
Just weird.
I'm done with my lineup pretty much.
There's Rooker. Justin Turner, who's should be retired. I'll take Ozuna. Put him 8th with my Marcell Ozuna with my last pick. DH.
Thanks for correcting the format there. And with my last pick, batting in the 6th hole is Big Dumper catching. Cal Raleigh. I like Cal there because this team doesn't strike out a shitload, and Cal does. So I'm okay with Cal ripping some Ks in that hole. But I kind of went with the Braves' logic of going Duran in the 9 hole.
Trying to figure out who I even have on my team. It's pretty. I mean, both of our teams are pretty disgusting.
I can read your lineup if you like.
So I have Tatis, Judge, Harper,
Yep.
Soto.
Yep, that's
J-Ram.
all outfielders and your first baseman. Yep.
J-Ram, Seager.
Yep.
Cattell.
Yep.
Ozuna. Contreras.
Yep. All right, so I will read the lineups real fast. Actually, yeah, I'll read them real fast just for everybody watching on the podcast. Mookie Betts is leading off for me, playing right field. Leading off for Ethan, playing center field is Fernando Tatis. Batting second for me is Rafael Devers playing third base. Batting second for Ethan is Aaron Judge playing right field. Batting third for me is Vladdy playing first. Harper playing first for Ethan. Batting third. Batting fourth Yordan Alvarez DHing for me. Playing left for Ethan is Juan Soto, batting 4. Batting 5 is Bobby Witt, playing short. Jose Ramirez playing third, batting 5. Batting 6 for each of us. Cal Raleigh catching for me. Corey Seager playing short. Batting 7, Ronald Acuna, left field. Batting 7 for Ethan is Kettle Marte, second baseman. Batting 8 for me is Jose Altuve, playing second. DHing for Ethan is Ozuna, batting 8. And 9 for me is Duran, playing center. And 9 for him is Contreras, catching. So let us know in the comments, the lineups will be on the screen, who is going to win this game without a pitching staff. We'll figure that pitching staff out at a future day.
It was tough just thinking of players off the top of our heads.
I know.
There's so many good players now.
I really... The Yordan, I thought, played like 60 games at DH. I didn't know it was 90. So I would consider him a DH because he's a full-time one then, technically. Or a majority. Okay.
He should be DH.
So we got one more segment here, I think, fellas. We like these games. The games are fun, good for TikToks. We'll try to do this as quick as we can. But this is going to be a newer segment here, GM for a day. So we're going to post a TikTok of each team. Basically, what we're doing is we're kind of going over where the team stands for the future, where they stand for this season. And the entire purpose of this is how we think that they could buy a couple more wins, how they think they could have a better year than they're projected, and maybe kind of just make them a little bit more solid all around. So the division we chose is the NL East. We decided to start with them for whatever reason. That was the one that we landed on. But we will start with the Marlins. Marlins had 60-something wins last year. They're projected to be pretty shitty. What do you think the Miami Marlins should do to have a better season this year?
I think the Marlins should go out and sign a reliever with some experience. They lost Terrence Scott. They traded him last year at the deadline. They might not be saving many games, but signing Kenley Jansen to a 1-year, $12 million deal will give them lots of experience, and he's really not that bad anymore. He was okay for the Red Sox. Obviously, probably a Hall of Famer. And it's not that much money. For the Marlins, maybe, but it's reasonable.
Yeah, I like that. Bring a veteran. Bring in some experience in a bullpen that needs it. I would trust your infield and these young players. You know, you had that big trade with that Rogers guy last year. I can't believe the Orioles gave you that much for him, but you trust the guys you got in that with, I think they got Kyle Stowers and Connor Norby. Correct me if I'm wrong there. But I would trust the young guys, see what you got. I like that. And I would go out on a limb. I would sign Pete Alonso. I would go give Pete Alonso some decent money, get a veteran presence in your infield, give you some juice, give you some jersey sales. I think the Marlins could put a 70-win season out there instead of I think is going to be like a 50-win season.
The Marlins have the rotation to win games, but signing Pete would actually give him some offense. He's going to still hit 35 homers. He's not a bad player. He's a fringe all-star. He's going to get paid like one.
Mind you,
not a bad idea.
This is just an idea for a general manager because we think GMs sometimes act slow. So obviously this isn't something we think is going to happen. Just an idea for a team that might need one. We're going to move on to the 4th place team. The team I said that's underrated. The Washington Nationals. They had 71 wins, I believe, last year. What do you think the Washington Nationals should do for 2025 to have a better season?
I think the Nationals should replace some of the back-end bullpen arms that they lost. They lost Harvey and they lost Finnegan, who had got most of their saves the last 2 seasons. There's this legend that's still out there who's been floated to be interested in potentially closing, and that's Max Scherzer. Scherzer reuniting with the Nationals on a 1-year, $15 million deal to lock down the games for the Nationals.
When Ethan told me this idea, I love it because Max Scherzer clearly is going to be a fan favorite, clearly going to have some jerseys brought back out of the friggin' gutter, maybe sell some more. Who knows? He could be a dealer out there. He's got experience. He's not going to walk a shitload of guys in the ninth inning. I really like that because you do need help because I think Jorge Lopez is the guy right now. And another thing I think they should do, go get a lefty arm that's did it in the league. Not a good one, not an expensive one. Go sign like a Jalen Beeks lefty, 1 year, $8 million. I think that could help having a lefty and righty combo like that.
They're not a bad team. If they make a couple more moves, they'll at least be respected when teams play them.
So the worst teams in the league are obviously harder to do because they need more work. That's the whole concept of this video, is to try to bring some fun to it for those teams that are projected to do bad. But the top three teams are definitely projected to do well. All three had solid years last year, starting with the Mets. I think the Mets have a really solid roster, and what I think the Mets should do to have a better year this upcoming year is I would go get a veteran presence in Justin Turner. Sounds like Pete Alonso isn't going to work out. Justin Turner can play first and third. You can rotate him with Mark Vientos, who I think is a very good young player. I think the Mets are extremely overrated going to next year, but I do think adding a cheap bat for like a 1 year, $10 million deal, he's like not going to strike out a shitload. He's going to hit a lot of singles, going to drive in some runs. I think this could be a really good piece for them to add for a cheap price.
Everything's pointing to Alonso leaving the Mets, so it'd be nice to get another piece that can fill in at first. He doesn't have to play even 150 games. He goes out and plays 110 games at $10 million a year. That's still a good signing.
Yeah. I think the Mets are definitely, like you said, overrated in the past, but I mean, definitely have potential if their theory of signing Clay Holmes to be a starter works out, I guess.
Clay Holmes, Frankie Montas, and the crew.
Yeah, the crew of average Joes. Roki signing there would have truthfully put them into a more scared, potential, I think. That was a big
They are definitely not number 2 in the power rankings. Like that just came out by MLB Network. That is a little absurd. I don't think they're number 2 in their division.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That brings us into the next team, the fourth team we're going to talk about, which was the second place finisher, the Atlanta Braves. Ethan's underrated team going into, which I agree does not get the respect it deserves. I think it could underperform due to older players, but they still are a team that people need to fear and should respect. I think it's pretty clear cut what they need help with, which is bullpen. I think the rest of the lineup is completely fine. I would trust the starters you have, but go get a veteran arm. David Robertson, 1 year, 9-10 million. I mean, he's trustworthy as it gets. He's been doing it forever. Go add him to the lineup. Pretty solid acquisition, I think that would be.
I have the same thought. Just go add some bullpen arms. Their lineup is set. Their rotation is set, unless injuries happen, but they can deal with those. I'm thinking Will Smith, 1 year, $4 million deal. Throw a lefty in there that he's won a couple World Series. He has some experience. It's not going to hurt them, $4 million.
Yeah. I think my Jalen Beeks $8 million prediction might be a little high, but
he's getting paid.
Jalen Beeks is getting his career earnings. I'm gonna go see. I think he was making like not a lot, so maybe my prediction for Jalen Beeks was a little too high. I'll have to go down to 4 million on that thought process too, not 8 million for Jalen Beeks.
2 years, 8 million.
Yeah, I'll say that in the video, make it sound a little better. I do think Beeks is an okay lefty to go get though for depth, better than Ryan Yarbrough. Last thing to talk about is the last team in this division, the first finisher. Carlos Estevez going to the Phillies makes a lot of sense to me. The Phillies need their closer, have a good lineup, haven't did much this offseason. They're kind of like that Patrick Starr looking at that rock in the race, and he's just petting them because they're doing nothing. That's kind of my analogy for them. But I would go sign Estevez, 2 years, 22 million, something like that. Lock down your closer spot. You get a solid veteran.
I agree. Similar to the Braves, their lineup is pretty set. Their rotation is definitely set. They're closing, and do they have Romano closing as of now? Probably. Maybe Alvarado's going to get some saves if there's lefties in there. I think Estevez makes sense. He doesn't even have to close every game if they don't want him to, but he's definitely a back end arm that would help them again.
Yeah, and again, not too expensive at all. I feel like Ranger Suarez kind of had some struggles at the end of last year. I
He
mean,
definitely did.
call this theory crazy. They paid him, right?
I'm not sure.
If they didn't. I think Ranger could be a pretty nasty end of game reliever because he can kind of get the juice up there going sometimes.
He might end up in the bullpen because they have Sanchez, Luzardo, Nola, Wheeler. They made somebody else, or is that their five? That might be their five.
I think that's their five, but they also have Painter, which, if he's coming up or not, he's supposed to be a stud.
I guess it is likely that Ranger starts in there, but he's probably the first one out.
Yeah, exactly. Which is fine. I think obviously, like you told me before, starters make more money, and that makes sense to do that. But
They have Taiwan Walker too, but he's
oh
probably
yeah,
worse than Ranger.
Walker's definitely worse. Well, that's gonna wrap up this MLB podcast. I will sum it up by saying thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, ideas, suggestions, who you want to see next in a Would You Rather. Anybody taking the time to watch any part of this video, that means a lot to us. Hopefully you came over from the TikTok. Hopefully you go to the TikTok to see that kind of stuff. We're going to go talk about the Red Sox. We're going to transition into that. So I will be ending the video. But yeah, the support's been awesome. I know we're growing very slowly and smallly, but we're doing this for the fun of it, not for the, to be the most famous people in the world. So we appreciate any support we're getting. And if you want to talk about the Red Sox, it'll be in the video after this one. So hopefully we see you over there. Thanks for watching. I